Hello, hello. It's that time again. It's Big Cheds. Thanks for hanging out here. Thank you for spending a little bit of time here with me. I'm, of course, Big Cheds on Twitter. Many of you know me from there. Cheds Trading on YouTube. This is part of the Quick Market Update series. I do this now 3 times a week. I do a twice a week full market analysis at Bitcoin Live, which is Wednesday and Sunday night. And I like to take the next day off from YouTube to kind of let that report marinate. But this is part of the Quick Market Update series, 3 days a week, 15 minutes. I take your questions. I do a little bit of analysis on the market. I teach professional technical analysis, Japanese candlestick theory, and classical charting. Check out the Masterclass tutorial playlist. I published 3 books. The 4th one is on the way, Trading Journal. It's coming along nicely. I'm actually working on the section on like emotional management, how to deal with FOMO. It's going to be a good book. But as always, I picked out some tweets to kind of start the discussion and some things to talk about to update the price. Say hi in the chat room. You need to be a subscriber to leave a message. Try to, ask a good question about trading. And maybe we can use that to make some good educational content. Also, let me know where you're from, how you're doing, what you think, how you found the channel, all that good stuff. So I have the 1 hour chart up. It's really interesting. We had these 11, 12 red in a row, and then we just had 11, 12 green in a row here. And you can kind of really get... This is one of those things where you can get really lost in the woods, just kind of hanging around on the 1 hour chart and never zooming out, never stepping out. When you have these movements, you always want to reset things and put them into context, right? So let's just start again the weekly chart, all right? You have a nice, beautiful trend on the weekly chart, the trend being defined by the 200 MA, which simple moving average. It's an uptrend. Price above a rising 200 is an uptrend. We have the price in a very nice long consolidation range, breaking out of that consolidation range and beginning a new consolidation range here. And thus far, holding very important range lows, which is the 91 to 92K price zone, holding a rising EMA 8. It's consolidating pretty nicely. You can call this a high and tight consolidation after the last advance. So you've kind of set the table on the weekly. Okay, we know it's bullish. It's holding range lows. And you kind of drop down to the daily. And it's a very well-described daily channel with a head and shoulders type look, but that's just a name. You've got a neck base line. You have a right shoulder. We have multiple price tests on the neck base. The price bounces. Most recently invalidated the right shoulder, failed to hold, and rolled back into the range. And it's kind of a crazy channel where it's been chopping out and liquidating a lot of people. A lot of bulls went long here. If they were disciplined, they either took profit or they cut when it didn't hold basically 99K. Remember, every trade needs to be defined by when the thesis fails. So normally this is a very strong signal. That failed, price right back to support. So it's a very interesting channel. And so there's a couple of things I want to talk about, but we're basically right back to where it needs to hold. Some response off of that. We'll talk about that in a second. But daily chart, tells you the 1 hour noise is just noise within a consolidation range. All the moving averages are sideways here. They're flat. Price has held the gains. It's consolidating, and it needs to hold here. We know we're watching that level. So now we've kind of reset the table. We also understand that if price fails to hold 91, 92K, we're probably going to drop back to the prior range, somewhere around 72 to 75K. It's my best guess if we don't hold up here. So before I go to the chat room, and I'll do that in a minute, we have some really nice chats. I see a couple building, some building up. So you can smell the fear right now. This was yesterday, and it was just boom. Time for bulls to step up, and it's true. You want to think about price interaction with key levels, right? You can try to trade in the middle of the channel. You get chopped around. You can pay the market makers fees. You can send the market makers kids to college if you want, or you can just wait for the price to interact with a key level and drops right back to the 91, 92K zone. Very important price zone, and there's some response here initially. So we have a nice initial response. It dropped here, right? So I put out a tweet. So we were testing it. I'm watching it. No juice, no love. And then I put out this tweet. And I said, first reasonable thesis for a daily spring recapture would be 92 0.5K flip. It's a reasonable thesis, right? A reasonable trade idea, which basically means the first suggestion of any kind of a fake bear breakdown or some type of a spring, which is a very simple standard trade setup. I talk about it in the masterclass, where you have a support level that's lost and recaptured. It's very easy to kind of use that to structure a trade idea. And I said the first reasonable thesis for essentially just a simple long off of price interaction, with lows would have been right here, which is a recapture of this level, this nice a long lower shadow candle, kind of recaptured those lows, and that's right about here. And so you actually did pretty good off of that. Decent little short-term trade. I mean, just off this simple technique, 92.5 all the way up to 95.5, and then a shock dip and kind of initial price response, again, off of that zone. So that's been interesting. And then here's the last tweet, and then I'll jump into the chat room. I'll see how you folks are doing. I'll try to answer your questions. This is just important. You want to use yourself as an indicator. You want to use yourself as a source of information, how you're doing. You think about it. When you're really excited, you text your friend that screenshot, that's a time to maybe take a little bit of profit. You don't have to sell the whole position, but you should pay yourself for a good idea. When you're scared a lot of the time, and here you can smell the fear, right? Smell the fear. Price is at support. A lot of the times when the market's scared and people don't understand trends, need to consolidate. And really important ones, when you're bored, do nothing, right? You don't want to be boredom trading. You don't want to be trading just for fun. It's like poker. You don't want to be just playing every hand. You really want to be sitting around and waiting for real opportunities. So those are just some things to kick-start the conversation. Let me say hi to the chat room. Clifford, Tyler, Gia, Chocolate, Inverted Dragon, Carlos, Amno, Mohammed, Peter. Good to see you folks. Appreciate this, all you folks and more of you as well. So I'm going to look around, see any questions. Ryan says, no questions, just thanks for your level-headed analysis. Have 2 of your books. Hey, man, thank you. Why not 3, though, Ryan? No, I'm just kidding. And by the way, my books are mostly free on my various channels. Thomas says, with so many people having a stop loss below 90, 91 for wicks, don't you think that's ripe to be tagged for liquidity? I mean, that's a really good point. And levels are messy, and the price doesn't always respect our box. Just because we draw a box, we've identified a price zone, doesn't mean the price is necessarily going to respect it. And the question here, that's a really good question. A lot of people are likely managing their stop loss based on these lower shadows, based on this price response, right? Every time it's been tested. Therefore, they're managing the risk such that, dips below would be a stop loss. And a lot of the time you get a false breakdown, a quick V recovery. And so that's something very reasonable to watch out for. That's something very reasonable to watch out for. So that's a good point. You always want to keep an eye on that, where you have a very well-defined level. Even a resistance support doesn't matter. Stop loss triggers. That's why you have the spring and the upthrust thesis, which are just very, very simple and easy techniques that you can kind of that you can execute. So that was a really good question. Let's look around. Maybe we'll do a couple requests. We're at 9 minutes here. Alts. There's a lot of alts. I tweeted out a lot of alts last night. Just because there's some really interesting spots worth taking a look at. And I honestly want to circle back to them in a couple weeks and say, hey, I gave you guys some good spots to take a look at. Like here's, for example, whiff. Yeah, everyone's down on it, but I mean, it's priced at a well-defined support zone, right? Most reversal patterns fail. That's a decent opportunity. Checking the 1 hour volume candles, jumped out. So maybe something going on there. Decent bounce from that so far. This is maybe a better example. H-bar is an uptrend. It's been a relative strength player. And we had that first tag here of the daily MA50, right? In a strong trend, confluence or combining that MA50 tag with some demand, with some support in this zone. So to look like H-bar, even Doge was testing support. DOT was an update on a short setup I gave you guys. Here's a nice little short setup with invalidation. Really nice follow through. Clean profit on that. And I was pointing out, hey, if you took that short, you maybe want to trim and take a little profit here. We've dropped all the way back down to support, and it might be pausing here. So let's see. Clifford says XRP to the moon. I don't know about that, but it's one of the nicer looking charts. Nice clean consolidation. XRP still looks pretty good. Carlos says thanks for the wisdom. Thank you for showing up, Carlos. Appreciate you, brother. Thank you, everybody. And folks, it's just me, no moderator. I cannot read all the chats. There's a lot of chats. Can you chart Pepe? Sure. Some people talking about it. I think it's been kind of an okay chart. Maybe not great. Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, it's okay. I don't like the fact that it's below, quad 0189 range right here, roughly. But if I go to the weekly chart and I step back, not a ton of price history, but it's stair-stepping. It's building rising demand. And it's holding above, the May highs from last year. So that's decent. Let's clean this up a little bit. And maybe that's going to be the most important level to watch right now. And it's kind of right there. So maybe I'll just simplify it. Simplify my approach and say you want to see it hold here off of that prior high. It's okay. It's got lower highs. We'll see which one gives first, the lower highs or this support level on Pepe. Amno says, long time I couldn't catch the live. No problem, brother. I'm going to do another live tomorrow, folks. So it's going to be Friday, Saturday, and Tuesday that I'll be doing these YouTube videos. Let's look for some more questions. Can I check INJ? INJ sucks. Why do people keep asking about this? This is a terrible chart. It's a really bad chart. It's weak. Don't even just ignore it unless it can recapture 31. I think people are putting like a fundamental spin. It should be higher because the tech or whatever. It's just a bad chart. Market doesn't like it. I don't like it. Stop wasting your time on bad charts. Ride good. Look at Sui. Ride a strong trend. Make life easy on yourself. You got to do that. You could say, let's kind of look around. Hey, Clifford, thanks for the comment. Thanks for the alpha. No problem. NP, thank you for the comment. Gia, let's see what everyone else has to say. Vet, I haven't looked at that one in a while. I think it's a pretty weak chart. It's been pretty weak. And I think a lot of people just hold on to weak charts because they've never really decided, they just buy without like a plan to ever sell because they want to just hold for years. You want to, every time you put money at risk, every time you risk funds, you want to have a well-defined idea. Not terrible. It's trying to break out of this base. It's trying to hold on a retest now of the peak of this consolidation range. It spent a lot of time here in the dungeon, right? And this is the peak of the range, right? And it's trying to hold on the throwback, right? It's trying to hold on the throwback, right, to the range of the peak of the prior range. It's okay. I mean, it's really okay. I'm gonna kind of zoom in here on the daily and take a little bit of a closer look at it. Bulls are definitely stepping in and saying this is where we'd like to defend. If you are a vet person, you like vet, this is your thing. You really got to pay attention if the price is unable to hold maybe at like 0.42. If it can't hold this range, then you got to rethink your thesis. It's an okay chart. It's actually not that bad. It looks a little bit better than I would have expected it to look. I'm going to wrap things up. These are part of the quick market update series here on YouTube. I do the twice a week full market report, of course. Bitcoin Live for almost 7 years with the best team in the world that studies crypto. I started talking about the 1 hour chart on Bitcoin and all this volatility on the 1 hour chart and how to put this volatility into perspective going outside in to the weekly candle, the weekly chart, the most valid long-term look for Bitcoin because it has a rising 200. The monthly chart's still too young. There is no MA200, which is the trend. In classical charting, this is an uptrend, price above a rising 200, price holding a rising weekly EMA 8, incredibly bullish, holding well-defined range lows. You've done the weekly look. You can drop back down to the daily. You see the channel with well-defined demand, 9192K zone. You had the invalidation, which should have been a very strong signal, did not follow through. Price dropped right back into the range, liquidating long traders, liquidating short traders, liquidating everybody. There's a lot of noise. You really can just simplify it. And can bulls hold 9192K zone? I put out the tweet. Time for them to step up. You can smell the fear. Price is at a key level. We talked about the initial price response off of that level and then a potential long trade you could have taken just off of simple classical charting, spring and up thrust, simple suggestions of momentum reversal. You're looking for a bull trade because it's priced at support in an uptrend. I talked about the 92K5, decent response off of that, and then a throwback and some response again already. And then I talked about some of these. A tweet I put through one of the quotes from my book about emotional management. So, folks, I'll be back tomorrow. I got a jam. I'm going to go do some stuff. But this is a quick update. I'll do another one tomorrow. Again, I'll be doing on YouTube Fridays, Saturdays, and Tuesdays. The rest of the time, you got to catch me in Bitcoin Live. And if I didn't get to your message, I'm really sorry. It's just me, a lot of folks in the chat. Check out the free alpha. I have a huge library of educational content. I'm surprised many of you have not watched Masterclass tutorial series. I teach professional TA. I published 3 books, 4th one along the way. Most of my books are free on my channels in one form or another. So thanks for hanging out, folks. Let's jam out to the Church of 8 Wheels, and hopefully I'll see you tomorrow. All right, Big Cheds out. Take care. Peace out.